When you open up your retail,
Okay. Here's one.
when did you open up your retail?
That's 5 years ago. That's
Okay.
I'm on?
Just so you know.
Okay.
And you're in the shadow.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll stand and be less in the shadow.
There's right to.
Well, even though it's a couple of minutes before noon, we're only missing one person. I don't know if George is, something's come up or not, but we're going to record this, so if he misses out, we'll just let him see the recording. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out. This is the first time I've done this presentation, and I'm very optimistic that you'll enjoy learning what I'm sharing, because I think it's a fascinating field. Just a little bit about how I got to this room and doing this presentation. My company, Apricot Rocket, is a combination marketing automation. Oh, yeah. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, you betcha. Did anybody not get a handout, by the way? Everybody's got one? Okay. So my company, Apricot Rocket, I've been building a CRM, marketing automation, and shopping cart system now for about 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. And over the last couple of months, we've actually launched the latest edition, which is the shopping cart. And the shopping cart, of course, is like pretty much any shopping cart. When you want to sell something, you decide how to get paid, what kind of money you'll accept. And we give people the option of accepting PayPal or Stripe or a couple of other options. And I decided it would be interesting to allow people to accept digital currencies. And so to do that, to integrate digital currencies into our system, I had to figure out how they work, and I had to figure out what they are. And so I began going about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I began going down this path of discovery. Now, like many of you, I heard about blockchain 2 or 3 years ago. I, of course, heard about Bitcoin 2 or 3 years ago. And like probably most people in this room, I said, that stuff will never go anywhere, And of course, somebody that invested $100 in Bitcoin 4 or 5 years ago is literally a millionaire now, because they can convert that Bitcoin into dollars. So, that's obviously driven a lot of interest in the market. You hear stories about, a 14-year-old kid 4 years ago that put $100 he had into Bitcoin, and now he's a millionaire, and you're like, how in the world does that happen? Right? So, I want to go back in time and buy Bitcoin. So anyways, I went down this path of discovery because I have a reasonably technical background. Now, I'm not a coder, I'm not a programmer, but I have a reasonably technical background. It took me a while to figure out some of the fundamentals. So I'm just going to go through the slide deck, and then feel free to ask questions. I think the slide deck is about a 30-40 minute presentation. We have an hour. So there should be plenty of time for me to try to answer questions. Please play Stump the Chump, and if you can ask me a question I don't know, I promise you I'll figure the answer out, and I'll get back to you with the answer. So with that said, let's just go ahead and start now. The ink on your paper is not real dark, but what we're looking at here is a website called coinmarketcap.com. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to jump out of this, and I'm going to hopefully just go launch a coinmarketcap.com page. And so we're actually looking at coinmarketcap.com right now live on the internet. And you may not be able to see it, but up here in the corner it says 1,501 cryptocurrencies, 8,400 markets. That's exchanges that trade cryptocurrencies. So, this is a huge global industry. Now, it's not huge in the sense of like petrochemicals, but it's a huge global phenomenon that's going on. Huge global phenomenon that's going on. And 3-4 weeks ago, when I first found coinmarketcap.com, there were only 1,425. So in the last 3 or 4 weeks, there's been 75 new cryptocurrencies launched. And this is an interesting website for you to know and go to if you haven't already found it. There's a couple of different ways you can look on this, but here's Bitcoin, and what you're seeing over here is the percent up or down movement in the last hour, the last 24 hours, and the last 7 days. Now, because for me to integrate cryptocurrencies into my shopping cart, I had to actually own some, because the only way you can do it is to transfer stuff around. So about 3 weeks ago, I bought a couple $100 worth of actually $300 total worth of cryptocurrencies, $200 worth of $100 each of 3 different coins, and then I sold a couple of them off, and I bought $200 worth of Bitcoin, and I pretty much bought them at about $1,400, which in the last 4 weeks is the highest point. So I bought at the very highest point I possibly could buy, and now it's trading for $9,000, which it's down about 25% in the last couple 3 weeks. So, I am not one of those people that put a few $100s in and made a lot of money out of it. I've turned a couple $100 into less than a couple $100 in the last couple of weeks. So, this can go both ways, and it's a very volatile market. And that's one of the primary things that you need to understand is, unlike normal fiat or country-based currencies, these things swing very widely based upon people's desire. It's all supply and demand. There's very little actual underlying fundamental sort of value to many of the companies and the coins that are out there. But you can go down this list and you can see and you can watch the trading. It's all, I think, very very interesting.
Is there an index fund that does?
There is no index fund right now that's traded on the exchanges that that invest in this stuff. We actually asked our broker, please find us an index fund. We'd like to buy, we'd like to put a couple $1,000 in, and at the very end of this slide, I'll show you why we're thinking about doing that. But the broker went and checked and said there's nothing out there. So at this moment in time, it appears that there's nothing out there. So that's what this is, coinmarketcap.com. Now, this next website is called Fiverr.com, and the address is on here. And Fiverr.com is a website that, if you need to get a graphic or logo designed or something like that, somebody that's in the graphic design business here in the United States will be glad to charge you $1,000, $1,500 to design your logo. You can go onto Fiverr.com. Now, you have to shop around to find somebody, but you can get the same exact logo done almost for anywhere between $5 and $150 on Fiverr.com. These are people all over the world that offer their services, and just in the last 3 or 4 weeks, people are now offering to build cryptocurrencies for as little as $150, $200. So it is so easy to create a cryptocurrency. Literally, you can do it if you're a technically oriented programmer type person and do your research on how to do this, you can launch your own cryptocurrency, a token, in as little as about 30 minutes. Now, that's one reason why you have, in the last 3 weeks, it went from 1,425 cryptocurrencies to over 1,500, and that trend is going to continue until there's the big washout. So I believe that, and I'll explain more about that, but I just want you to realize that creating a cryptocurrency from a technical perspective is not terribly difficult. Okay, so I want to spend just a moment and talk about sort of the concepts, the historical evolution of money. And, as humans, we basically went through these sort of 4 steps. At first, money was based upon precious metals, gold, silver, stuff like that. And so coins were made out of precious minerals and precious metals. Then we had countries issuing paper-based currency, but at least conceptually, they were backed by gold and silver and precious metals that were held in the reserves of the vaults of the country's central banks and stuff like that. And then many of you will remember back in the 70s when we disconnected. I think it was the 70s, could have been the 60s. It's all fuzzy to me. We disconnected or untethered the U.S. currency from gold, and it became free floating. And there was a lot of concerns. Oh my God, it's not tethered to gold. It's going to go crazy. And the markets figured out how to do all that kind of stuff. And nowadays, the reality is all of our money is based upon trust in computers, because we carry cards around. We don't carry cash. It's all digital currency. It's monies. It is numbers. It's ones and zeros in a bank somewhere. And we're not even really transferring money anymore. We're transferring trust in a system that says, if you give me